The void was silent, endless black pierced only by distant stars, each a frozen sun burning millennia-old light across the emptiness. Aboard the Earth Alliance starship Ambrosia, Captain Lyra Anders stared at the communications console as it crackled with an alien urgency. The signal was unlike anything in Earth's archives. Neither the staccato clicks of the Thrax nor the harmonious pulses of the Marani, but something altogether more frantic, as if the very fabric of the message trembled with fear. Medical emergency. Science Officer Rathan translated, voice tight. The words hung in the bridge's hush like a warning beacon. Anders felt the old thrill of the unknown, tempered by the weight of Earth's reputation in known space. They called humans Deathworlders for a reason. Ruthless terrestrial predators. Schooled in virus warfare, genetic re-engineering, planetary scorched Earth tactics. Few outside the Solum Compact trusted them. Yet here, buried in the remote Barris sector, a plea for help survived. Source coordinates locked. Lieutenant Min reported, fingers dancing over the nav console. A Class 4 planet-harsh environment, high volcanic activity. No readily breathable atmosphere. Anders stood. Bring us out of hyperspace at standard distance. Deploy sensor buoys. Keep weapons hot and shields at 10%. Below deck, the medbay hummed with activity. Surgeon General Angeli Rowe oversaw the unpacking of biohazard pods and antigen synthesizers. Her team of combat medics, veterans of Earth's Martian skirmishes, prepared inoculation drones and portable gene sequencers. Rao had seen countless outbreaks. Zorlan fever on Horace Ix, the fungal blooms of Titan's Undercity. But nothing in her experience matched the desperation in that garbled plea. Moments later, Ambrosia emerged from hyperspace to reveal its target, a planet swathed in swirling emerald clouds, its surface scarred by jagged mountains and rivers of molten glass. A field of wreckage hulls blasted apart, smoldering debris floated. In a ragged arc around the planet, a silent testament to horror. Visual on a single shuttle, Min said, pointing to a battered craft limping toward them. Anti-collision lights flickered as it was snatched by the ship's tractor beam and guided into docking Bay 3. The bay doors groaned open. 3 Vajaran figures, gaunt and stained with ash, were helped inside. Their ebony eyes gleamed with bioluminescent veins, each breath a rasp of agony. Their leader steadied himself against the pristine white bulkhead. Dr. Chorus Vane. Anders introduced herself, stepping forward. The alien's voice was like gravel sliding over glass. You requested aid? Vane lowered a trembling container. Within, a small creature writhed. Mottled skin, 4 limbs folding in convulsions. A world black fungus. It infects everything. Lives, machines, even our biotechs. We cannot stop it. Angeli Rao knelt to examine the container's seals. Containment level 5, she murmured. You're dealing with biomechanical mutagen. Did this originate here? Vane's head drooped. No. We were testing a defensive virus genetic lockout on syndicate biowarfare. It backfired. A chill passed through the medical team. The Dravonic Syndicate, the galaxy's foremost black market arms. Dealers were rumored to engineer plagues to topple governments. That such a weapon had fallen into the Varine's hands, and then mutated beyond control. Spoke of catastrophe. On the bridge, Anders conferred with her officers. We can't risk bringing this aboard unfiltered. Full quarantine protocols. She pressed the cum badge. Seal all decks. Activate emergency decon corridors. As medbay doors hissed shut, the Ambrosia's long-range scanners detected an incoming fleet. Massive Earth battleships and carriers, hulls ringed with biolab modules and armed to the teeth. The Deathworlder fleet had been on a classified training exercise near Jupiter's orbit, but this call for aid had overridden every standing order. In orbit above the Varan planet, titanic silhouettes materialized against the greenish clouds. Back in the medbay, Rao's team emptied the shuttle's remaining cargo. Hundreds of Veraran civilians, racked by fever, skin cracking with purple pustules, eyes dulled by toxicosis. "We'll need 40 field hospitals," Rao called out, "and 100 combat medics in exosuits." "Already deploying," answered the com chief. Moments later, squads of Marines landed in powered exoskeletons, securing a perimeter around the nearest Varan settlement. Automated defense turrets once built to protect the Varan people had been commandeered by the mutagenic pathogen, firing intermittent bursts of terawatt lasers at anything that moved. Exosuits returned fire, plasma bolts carving through the turrets until the area fell silent. Over the next 12 hours, the Deathworlder fleet's bio-research vessels lowered orbital lab platforms bristling with scanners. Rao established a field lab in the ruins of a once grand Varine hospital, wiring up sequencers and centrifuges to sift viral RNA from tissue samples. The air smelled of antiseptic and burned ozone. Science Officer Rathan joined Rao, holographic data flowing between them. "The pathogen is a chimeric virus," Rathan explained. "Part fungal spore, part techno-organic construct. It can rewrite local biomass at a cellular level, including metal alloys." He swiped through a 3D model. Roots of fungal filaments infiltrating circuit boards, transforming alloy plating into living tissue. Rao's eyes widened. "It's terraforming the planet at a cellular scale. And it's spreading through shuttle wreckage and downwash from the atmosphere." Rathan tapped another panel. "We estimate full planetary saturation in 48 hours, if left unchecked." Rao's jaw clenched. "We need a cure vector and fast." Meanwhile, Captain Anders observed the field operations from the Ambrosia's observation deck. She recalled Earth's council chambers. Debates over first contact, the fear of giving too much power to humans. Now, thousands of light years from Sol, she realized humanity's dual nature could both destroy and rebuild. Here, the Deathworlder fleet was a force of salvation. Her com badge chimed. "Captain," came Sergeant Lutz's voice. "Sampling team has recovered a live isolate." On the main viewer, muddy swamps churned as the Marines handed off a sealed bio-vial to medbay techs. "Excellent," Anders said. "Begin preliminary analysis. I want that genetic sequence on my desk in the next hour." As the lab team worked, Varan survivors clustered around makeshift shelters, watching curiously as human drones hovered overhead. Their fear gave way to tentative hope when Marines distributed purified water and ration packs. A small Varan child approached Rao, pointing to a glowing vein on her own arm. Rao smiled warmly and administered an analgesic injection. The child's eyes flickered brighter for the first time in days. Rao felt a lump in her throat. "It'll be okay," she whispered. Deep in orbit, from the bridge of the battleship Dread Sovereign, Admiral Chun oversaw the operation. The screen showed both progress and peril. Then, a new blip appeared on long-range sensors. 2 unidentified vessels lurking near the nebula on the planet's far side. Rathan jogged in. "Captain, those signatures match Dravonic Syndicate stealth cruisers. They're observing us." Anger flared in Anders' chest. "They designed this plague," she said. "They'll kill to keep it secret. Raise alert status. Prepare for hostile engagement. Priority 1 is protecting the med teams and that sample." As alarms sounded across the fleet, radiating through the green clouds, Anders felt the weight of the coming storm. For the Varan, Earth's response had been swift salvation. But for humanity, it would be a reckoning one fought on the microscopic battlefield of genetics. And in the fracture point where warships and viruses collided, the settlers, the medics, and the Marines all held their breath under the toxic sky. In the heart of that poisoned world, the lines between doctor and soldier blurred, and the first shots of a hidden war were already being fired. And far beyond the planetary ring, Cloaked observers recorded every move in silence, the prelude to a conflict that would decide not just the fate of one dying species, but the balance of power across the stars. The sudden klaxon of Ambrosia's bridge alarms announced the Syndicate cruiser's aggressive move. Captain Anders pivoted in her command chair, eyes narrowing. Enemy cruisers are decloaking on an intercept vector, Lieutenant Min reported. They're targeting our orbital labs. Anders' jaw hardened. Divert all defensive batteries to priority targets. Marines, lock down the medbay. Science teams, secure that sample at any cost. Clash above the swamps in the emerald gloom of the Varen atmosphere. The first volleys of plasma and pulse lasers streaked back and forth between Earth's fleet and the Dravonic attackers. The dread Sovereign barked orders through the Cumnet, coordinating point defense turrets and fighter launches. Below, massive orbital platforms disgorged rapid-response fighter-sleek interceptors, whose ion trail wings carved lines through the sickly green sky. The Dravonic ships unleashed swarms of autonomous missiles, each programmed to burrow into biolabs and sabotage the Cure's production dot from the bridge of the dread Sovereign. Admiral Chun watched explosions blossom around. A bioresearch barge. They've tagged the primary synthesizer module. Target and neutralize. Minutes later, torpedo volleys tore a path through the enemy screen, peeling away escort frigates. A direct hit fragmented one cruiser's porthole, sending debris arcing wide. Still, two more Syndicate vessels held formation. On Ambrosia, Anders monitored the dance of fire. We can't let them break through, she said. Raythan, status on the Cure vector? The silver-scaled officer's hands flew over a holopanel. We're 50% synthesized, but without that sample from Sergeant Lutz, we can't complete the genome lock. Anders exhaled. Get me Lutz. Infiltration and desperate runs down on the scarred surface. Sergeant Talia Lutz led her four-man squad through the half-run Varen biomedical facility. The corridors were slick with corrosive sap and strewn with dead Varine researchers. Their equipment poisoned beyond salvage. They're attacking everywhere, muttered Corporal Reyes, scanning the ceiling for motion. We've got Syndicate saboteurs mixed in with the spores. Lutz gripped her plasma carbine. Stay sharp. We need that sample. A flashbang rippled through the hallway as a Syndicate commando team leapt from a hidden bulkhead, stun pistols spitting arcs of electricity. The Marines dived for cover, returning controlled bursts of fire. Smoke filled the corridor, and spore clouds roiled in the blast's wake. Med bays down the hall. Reyes shouted. They barreled through a scorched door into the heart of the lab. Dr. Rao's hastily erected containment field flickered as spore tendrils pressed against its barriers. Rao herself was crouched over a vibrating centrifuge, eyes wide at the readings. Sergeant, over here. Rao beckoned, holding up the sealed vial. But before Lutz could grab it, the floor shuddered. The lab's outer wall cracked as a spore-infused monstrosity, part organic, part metal, burst in, tendrils flailing. Marines opened fire, plasma bolts charring its carapace, but it advanced relentlessly. Rao shouted a warning. Fall back! Lutz grabbed the vial and sprinted toward the exit as her team laid suppressing fire. They dove through collapsing ruins, just as the creature's acidic blood ate through the concrete. Explosions shook the complex as orbital lasers from Dread Sovereign punched through the ceiling, incinerating the abomination in a blinding flash. Get that sample to the shuttle. Lutz barked. Two Marines hustled the vial to a waiting craft, while she and Reyes covered the retreat. Behind them, the facility imploded in a cascade of flame and rubble. Synthesis under fire, back aboard the Dread Sovereign's biolab. Dr. Rao and Science Officer Raythan raced against the clock. Genetic sequences whirred, and nanosynth heads wove molecular chains in midair. The holographic display pulsed green, then red warnings of incomplete sequences. Anders' voice crackled over the com. Status? Ro wiped sweat from her brow. We have 95% of the genome locked. Beginning inoculant formulation now. A distant explosion rattled the decks. They're hitting the lower labs, Rathan noted. 2 more. Barges lost. Rao's eyes steeled. Then we speed up. She tapped controls. Activate accelerated synthesis, push all reserve power. Overloaded reactors hummed as the nanosynth arms worked double time. Admiral Chun's voice boomed. In the lab hatchway. 10 minutes, Captain. Then we're swamped. Anders stepped in. Make it 8. As the accelerated run began, Rathan maneuvered a containment drone beneath the active synth lines. Within moments, a cluster of glowing capsules blinked into existence. Ro encapsulated one and handed it to Anders. Test dose, she said. Anders nodded, drawing the injector. She glanced at Vane's holoimage on the lab monitor, his features gaunt, but eyes bright with hope. With a steady hand, she injected the capsule into a genetically modified lab rat. The creature convulsed, then stilled. Monitors blipped green. A second later, its pulse normalized and its coat shimmered with renewed health. Ro exhaled. It works. Turning the tide below, the Deathworlder fleet rallied. Fighters escorted freighter shuttles carrying capsules of the cure as deeper fleets pushed the syndicate off the planet's rise. Ambrosia's guns joined the fray, cutting down stealth bombers and orbital missiles like fireflies in the skies. Over the swamps, Earth interceptors drew a tight circle around the incoming shuttles. Marines in hollow camouflage suits parachuted down to villages, inoculant rifles in hand. On the planet's surface, Vivaran survivors watched anxiously as humans approached. A squad leader knelt and administered the cure as promised. Within minutes, the first patient, a debilitated elder, opened her eyes wide and reached out to her children. Tears of life trickling down her cheeks. Word spread through the camps. The plague was ending. Hope rippled through the alien crowds. Aftermath. An ultimatum by nightfall, the Dravonic cruisers, battered and outgunned, limped toward hyperspace. Captain Anders hailed them. You brought this disaster upon an innocent world. Leave now and never return. No reply, came only the flicker of their warp signatures as they fled. On the ground, Surgeon General Rao oversaw mass inoculation. Centers. Biolab modules glowed under floodlights as drones distributed doses. The purple pustules shrank. The bioluminescent veins of the Varan brightened with renewed life. Dr. Vane approached Anders amid the chaos of relief efforts. The two stood on a makeshift platform as Varan families gathered. Vane's voice quavered with gratitude. You did more than save our people. You restored our world. Anders allowed herself a brief smile. You sent a plea across the stars. We answered, Deathworlders or not. Above them, the fleets assembled into perfect formation, a silent pledge of protection. In the battered sky, Earth ships radiated both menace and mercy, a reminder that in the vast reaches of space, humanity's strength could be the salvation or the scourge of worlds. As dawn broke over the healed swamps, Captain Anders looked toward the horizon, where new alliances beckoned the Barra sector. The cure had been delivered, the battles won, but the war for cosmic trust had only just begun.